Just some shameless promotion here. I happen to personally know the two authors, since I'm one of them. And if you're really bored on a Saturday night, 11 p.m., you could watch my show. Or not. Okay, so we're going to talk about pastoral formation, our PFE program here. And I know some of you guys have been in other seminaries. Some of you have never been in the seminary. And the pastoral formation, as you'll be hearing a number of times next several days, several weeks, months, and years, is one of the four components of your formation, but also your ongoing formation after you're ordained a priest. And it's as equally important as the academic or theological, the spiritual, and your human formation. So we used to call them the four pillars, but then Rome issued a document, so now they're called the four dimensions. But basically, it's the same principle that each one of them isn't just there for support, but they're also connected to each other. So that when you're on your PFE assignment, we're really hoping and encouraging and expecting that you will implement what you learn in the classroom, but also what you've discerned in your prayer. Conversely, we hope that what you experience at your pastoral formation assignments, you'll bring that to prayer, you'll bring it to formation. Hopefully it'll influence you in what you're studying, but also when you're writing your papers or whatever. So it's not just a compartmentalization. That was one of the problems we had, particularly when I was I go way back, I was in high school seminary. I'm one of those real dinosaurs, okay? They call us lifers, and that's why we twitch sometimes, okay? Because I was, right out of 8th grade, I went to the seminary, which made my brothers very happy, because that meant, they all got a room to themselves. Before we had bunk beds, and when I went to the high school seminary, moved out of the house, yay, he's gone, okay? Except when I came home for the holidays, and then I, incurred their wrath. But I was older, so I could beat them up. So when I was in high school seminary, pastoral work was just, we called it the apostolate, and it was just something that you did. You were sent out, and you did it, and you came back. And nothing was really connected. You went to chapel, you did your prayers, you went to Mass, you were in the classroom, you studied, and then you also had your apostolate. But it was never seen as something that they were interconnected. And then, thanks to Pope John Paul the Great, St. John Paul, because I went in 1976 to high school seminary, so Pope John Paul came around in 78, and then in a couple of years, particularly after he wrote Pastoral Visitation, he's the one that established those four, formerly known as pillars, now as dimensions, that they're interconnected. So what we do here at the Mount is we want to convey to you, but also to your supervisors where you'll be working, that this isn't just an intern program. In many of the Protestant divinity schools, that's how it's perceived and that's how it's experienced, that this is like, if you were in medical school and they would send you to the hospital as an intern, okay, you were just there to observe, all right, and get some experience, but that would be about it. In the Catholic tradition, all right, we see now pastoral visitation, your pastoral assignment, as being very integral and something that involves more than just you showing up, that there's a dynamic going on. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're in some of these places, the supervisors, because they're very busy, they need to be gently reminded, okay? So that's why we have, and I'll show you in a minute, the contract, or syllabus sometimes it's called, that you will sign between you and your supervisor, explaining that we want you to meet with them on a monthly basis, even if you see them every week, but on a monthly basis to talk, how am I doing, okay? Plus, it gives you an opportunity to say to them, here's something I just noticed. Because sometimes they don't know what's going on because, like, say, if it's a principal of a school and things are going on. I'm not talking about major things, but little things that you might be noticing. That maybe there's a particular kid who's, having some emotional problems, but maybe he or she is not having that in the regular classes. So you by filling them in, be a big help. Now, because of the COVID, Corona, Wuhan, whatever you want to call this thing, none of the pre-theologians will be going out on for PFE this year. We used to have, and we will once this is over with, an optional PFE, and that's very limited to the shrine here, Mother Seton Shrine, the grotto, and I also believe Boy Scouts. But that's about it, and it's a voluntary thing. We ask that the first year pre-theologians take time to get acclimated to this place and to seminary life, so we really don't push you to volunteer. There's a nice saying that it was created by a previous rector. They used to say you were voluntold, okay? It was voluntary, but you were told to volunteer, all right, like the military. But we don't do that. Now, second year pre-theology, it's more encouraged that you think about an optional. But like I said, because of the pandemic, we're not doing that. Also, because of the pandemic, that means first year, second year will not be going out for the fall semester, but the third year and fourth year men will, because they're limited to doing specifically things in a parish or specialized ministry. First and second, okay, will not for the fall, but we're hoping that everybody will be able to go in the spring. So I don't run out of time here. All right. Also, our PFE program is not a substitute for the pastoral year. I had one guy who was just on a pastoral year, and he writes to me a week before he comes back to the seminary. Since I was on a pastoral year, does that mean I'm free from PFE this year? No. All right? You don't get extra points. There's no reserve chits, okay? This isn't like, saving up brownie points or something like that. So if you were on a pastoral year, that was your pastoral year. This is something distinct, and it is considered not just a part of your seminary formation, but it's also part of your academic. So there is a pass-fail on this. And, for you to fail PFE doesn't look good to your bishop, okay? It's like you failed prayers, all right? If Monsignor Cummings, were to give out pass-fail for your spiritual life, PU, all right? It wouldn't last too long. But there is a pass-fail here, and the only way that you could really fail in PFE is if you just don't show up, or you're consistently late, or you're not, showing any respect to the, your PFE supervisor or something like that. We haven't had any of that, thank God. But sometimes it's important to remind the guys, because like when paperwork's due, it is part of your transcript, so that is listed on your sort of your report card or your academic transcript that you did pass your PFE, and the only way that can happen is if every now and then we have things that need to be filled out, like evaluations and that. But you have to worry about it because you're not going to be, most of you guys won't be doing it this year. Okay, PFE here is also not just a way of helping out the institutions. They need manpower, okay? Schools need people to teach. Hospitals need people to visit the sick. That's true, but that's not why we're sending you to any particular place, because they have holes to fill. However, because we have a nice relationship with many schools and hospitals and different assignments, we want to keep them. So there are, say, slots that we would like to fill, and there might be a particular one you might say to yourself, geez, I don't like visiting the sick, okay? You don't like visiting the sick, you really shouldn't be in the seminary, because as a priest, you're going to have to do that. That doesn't mean you have to like it, all right? But you need to start forming yourself to say, but it's not about me. When I go visit the sick, I'm there to help them. And then you find out that they help you. And to give you a very practical example, when I was in high school seminary, they were sending us to the nursing home, and I really didn't want to go, not because I didn't like old people, but my grandmother just died in the nursing home, and it was a horrible place, and that's where they were sending me. So I said to the rector, I said, I really don't want to go there. He said, well, you want to be a priest, you're going to have to go to places. And thanks be to God, they were very helpful. They didn't put me on the same ward where my grandmother was, but I had to go to the nursing home. And actually, I felt it very rewarding. Okay, but there were days when as a priest, you wake up, say at 3 a.m, you get a phone call to go anoint somebody. You don't go, yay, priesthood, okay, I get to anoint somebody. 3 a.m, okay? And you go, does that mean you're a bad priest? No, because you're going to get out of the bed and you're going to get in the car and you're going to go, okay? And in the car, you might be saying to yourself, why don't they die during the day, okay? You ask yourself that, okay? I was a hospital chaplain. Everybody died at 3 in the morning, okay? You say that, but once you get there, okay, you got to be professional. You put on the back burner, okay? And then when you go into there, you don't let anyone know that you were just having a nice sleep and you're irritated because you had to get, no. Because just like a doctor, who has to take care of an emergency in the middle of the night, you as a priest, you put your best, and again, it's not that you're being hypocritical, but you're there as a professional. And as a priest, you visit the sick, whether it's in a nursing home. Lots of times you get calls as a parish priest for the nursing home. That's when they pass away. It's the middle of the night, or the hospital, okay? Or sometimes, God forbid, they call you in the middle of the day and say, Father, get here quick. They didn't tell you for 3-4 weeks that this person was sliding downward. They tell you just before they die. That's something we've been fighting for years in the parish to say to people, call us ahead of time. But it happens. And again, you have to drop everything and say, excuse me, I got to go. And you get there as fast as you can without causing a wreck yourself. And you get there, and sometimes there's not a lot of cooperation between the institution or maybe at the home. They're not really happy to see you. Maybe the relatives are fallen away or ex-Catholics or anti-Catholics, and they open the door. And there you are, dressed like this with the oil stock, okay? And you just say, excuse me, pass right past them, you go to the sick, okay? So treating it as not just an obligation, but that this is something I have been ordained to do. And so experiencing that in some way to places or even things you might say to yourself, I wouldn't necessarily say to the bishop, I want to do this for the rest of my priesthood, okay? I was a hospital chaplain for a year. That's not something I would just expect anybody just to handle easily, but sometimes the bishop just assigns you, or you have a hospital in your parish. But I know some priests who are full-time hospital chaplains and have been that for 10, 20 years. They are phenomenal. They're a little kooky though too, all right? Because, you're always dealing with sick people. That's why they need to have a little balance by doing something in the parish once in a while. But they're good at what they do. But for the most parish priests, you go to the hospital when you need to, or you may have one in your parish, and you do the best that you can. And that's all God is asking of us. Okay, so this isn't simply pass, fail, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, here's something to keep in mind again. Just like in the diocese or when you're in a religious community, they don't say to you, where would you like to be assigned? Okay. Very rarely. If they do, be suspicious. Okay. My bishop asked, I've been ordained 32 years, and only once did the bishop say to me, where would you like to go? I'm thinking, oh my God, what happened? What did I do? Okay. And then I said, well, what do I get to pick from? Well, that was a different matter too. Okay. When they say, where do you want to go? Then they say, well, here's your choices. That doesn't usually happen too much. So we assign guys to their assignments, and if things don't work out, if it's it's something going on that we need to discuss, okay, we can work it out. Sometimes, we have to move guys around because certain dioceses want their men, if possible, to be in their diocese working. That's not always possible because of the amount of assignments we have, how big the class is, and some guys you just can't send to every necessary place, okay? But in general, we ask that you look at your assignment, because we'll be sending these out to everybody who will be, particularly the 3rd and 4th year men. They'll be getting theirs very soon. But when you get yours, You look at it, you might say, I don't know anything about this. Okay, well, we could talk about it. We try to keep everything on what we already have. I know sometimes guys come in, they say, hey, Father, I would love to go to this particular place. Well, we haven't been sent anybody there. We don't know anything about the pastor or the parish. Doesn't mean that they're not kosher, okay? We're not saying that. But we have a relationship with the places that we already have. There's some places, like the Naval Academy, right now they're not accepting anybody because of the pandemic, but you don't necessarily have to be military to go to that place. Okay, just like if you're not from the Arlington Diocese, doesn't mean you won't be going to an Arlington assignment. But again, we try to accommodate people, because at the end of the year, you have a preference sheet. You rate it from 1 to 8 or something like that. One guy thought he was real smart, okay, and he only put the number 1 and no other digits. I said, that ain't gonna float, okay? If he has 1 to 8, you gotta, rank them in some way. And then even that depends on, what's going on. But at the end of the year, we do ask for that input. There will be at the end of the year too a little brief exit survey to see how things are going, in addition to your monthly one. And then there's a very formal evaluation that you give to your supervisor, and that becomes part of your permanent record there, okay? This is all stuff you could read on your own from the Ratio Fundamentalis. I just want to basically tell you what we do in the few minutes I have left. First year, we have teaching ministry. So if you're a first-year theologian, you go to a Catholic school or the CCD, except for this year, okay, or this semester, I should say. In the spring, we're hoping that the guys will physically go. But in the meantime, if you're a first-year theologian and you're teaching, what we're going to have is the Nashville Dominican nuns come here on a weekly basis and give a class on pedagogy, how to teach, how to run a classroom. These nuns know what they're talking about, okay? They're experts. They're worth their weight in gold, okay? Other seminarians from other seminaries drool, wishing that they had these nuns at their place. We have them, okay? And if you're ever a pastor and you can get the Nashville Dominicans, take them, all right? And if you don't, I hear about it, I'm coming after you, okay? Because these nuns are great. They're super, all right? So they'll be given a little class on Wednesdays for the fall. And then in the spring, we hope that they'll be able to go, the guys will be able to go actually to a Catholic school or to a CCD and do some religious instruction. Second year is health care, hospitals, nursing homes, hospice, palliative care. Again, because of the pandemic, the guys won't be going for the fall, but we will have some little presentations on ministry to the sick. We have one by a little sister of the poor, Sister Constance. I have some friends of mine who are chaplains. They're going to do that. But when you do go in your second year, we go through the parish, because I had a nightmare for 2 years. We were sending guys directly to hospitals and nursing homes. They would spend 2 months or more paperwork, getting more blood tests, filling this out because of all the HIPAA and everything else. So what we do now is we send you to a place through the parish, so then you're like a volunteer from the parish. There's less paperwork, all right? That makes it a lot easier. Now, you're restricted to only visiting the Catholics from that place, but that beats wasting 2-3 months, all right, with all the red tape. Okay. Third year is preparation for diaconate. A little bit more specialized ministry is available. We have prison ministry. We have a ministry to Latinos. We have the tribunal. The Baltimore Tribunal sometimes takes up to 3 guys. My diocese, Harrisburg, will take 1 guy. Arlington guys, you have to go to the tribunal sometime during your formation, so that's already taken care of, so that you're exempt, okay? We also have an opportunity at the National Shrine in D.C., the Naval Academy. There are a number of other things. There's a couple of African-American parishes. So it's a different experience than just a regular parish. There's also third-year pre-deacon, which is like being a deacon without being a deacon. How you like that, okay? That means you're not going to preach, because you can't, all right? You ain't going to baptize. But you're going to visit people, visit the hospitals and nursing home. but you'll be going around with the pastor or the parochial vicar or the deacon of the parish, and you're going to go during a school day, all right? You can go on some weekends, but not every weekend. But it's to get you acclimated to what goes on in a parish without actually being under the roof, so to speak, overnight. Then fourth year, when you are a full-fledged deacon, you'll be assigned, if you're in a neighboring diocese, like Baltimore, Harrisburg, Arlington, Washington, D.C., even West Virginia, you'll go to wherever you were for the summer as a deacon. If you're from a diocese a little bit further away, all right, like Colorado Springs, Fargo, okay, you're not going to be going to your parish, all right, on weekends while you're at the seminary. So we have very nice places nearby, all right, that you'll be going to. And there is where we're going to be expected to preach every week, do at least one baptism, hopefully one wedding, one marriage, one burial. We're asking that you go out with the pastor or the parochial vicar when there's a anointing, okay, to see how it's done, that kind of stuff. And then as you see in the picture there, wiggle the incense now and then as a deacon, okay? All right. Now, I just want to show you this last thing here. Here we go. This is the contract that you'll be getting if you are assigned to a PFE place. We used to, when in normal conditions, we have a PFE day where all the supervisors come here, and then you get a meet and greet, and then you fill out these forms, okay? That ain't happening this year. It's all virtual. So what we're going to do is if you do get one of these, we're going to ask that you talk to them on the phone, maybe particularly the third and fourth year men, maybe they can go meet somewhere at the place. But this is a contract as well as a syllabus. There's things that tell you what's to look for. There's a little schedule. The deacons, it's listed what they have to do. If you're not a deacon, what your tasks are, and then you both sign it. This is very important because if there's any problems, your end or their end, we go by this, okay? This is legally binding in that sense, so that if they expect something that wasn't on here, we can say, well, geez, that wasn't in the contract, okay? Anybody got any questions? Yes, way in the back.
Will you maybe scroll down to the timetable on that form? Just if there's any, like times for the week and stuff, if you have any comments on.
Oh, here?
Kind of like how it fits into our schedule.
Yeah, that's a good question. You work this into your own schedule so that you can go any day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not Thursday, because there's Thursday afternoon you have to be here for Rector's Conference. Fridays is open. We even have opportunities for Saturday, sometimes even Sunday, but we prefer if you can keep it Monday through Friday without Thursday. So you work on your schedule. In the old days, everybody had to go Wednesday. Wednesday was PFE day. Okay, we changed that because a lot of institutions can't be wedded to just one day. So you work it out, and if you have a partner, because some places we send more than one, we ask that you work that out, and then also you'll be reimbursed for your mileage. Okay, it's 45 cents a mile, so you have a form that fill out. Yes.
You said pre-fee ones, it's a volunteer basis.
Yes.
To sort of.
Yeah, it's volunteer as well. We're asking that the pre-fee ones not consider it because that's next year. This year, no pre-fees are going out at all because of the Wuhan or whatever. Okay, whatever you want to call that thing.
Is there a substitute, or is it
Yeah, they just now that doesn't mean that you can't volunteer and maybe we have some little things like maybe make some phone calls to some shut-ins or something like that. We do have some things that are available, but you're not going to physically go anywhere because of this stuff.
Thank you so much, Father. Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions can be addressed at the summit this coming Saturday, but